Hello, friends, and welcome to an episode of Car Chats with Anjelica. I'm your host, Anjelica, and I'm here with a fresh story for you. And this unfortunate incident that I am about to recall happened just a few days ago, and I wanted to be sure to serve the tea to you while it was still piping hot. So, the other day, I woke up in the morning on a day that I expected would be like any other. And I took the earplugs out of my ears because I sleep with earplugs because I am not trying to be disturbed out here. So I took my earplugs out, and at that moment, it kind of felt like there was something in my ear. It was just that feeling like, when you have like water in your ear, it's like not intensely irritating, but you're just like, something's a little bit off here. So I didn't think much of it. So I just took a shower, went about my normal day, and then I did the one thing that you're not supposed to do, and I cleaned my ear with a Q-tip. And it was as I was cleaning my ear that I realized that the stud in this piercing, I have a little piercing like kind of right in this like curve of my ear, that only the stud was there, and like the little like ball gem thing that you screw onto the stud was no longer there. So I realized that that was the object that was in my ear, and by using a Q-tip, I had probably just pushed it further into my ear canal. So then I did the second thing you're not supposed to do, and I tried to get it out with tweezers, which was not effective, and again, just pushed it further into my ear. So at this point, still didn't think much of it. I was like, you know what, I'm sure it'll just like come out throughout the day. I don't know why I thought that would happen. Gravity was not in my favor on that idea, but just thought like, oh, it'd be fine. So at work, I was chatting with a couple of my friends, Googling like some solutions, and all the articles started with what to do when your toddler gets something stuck in their ear, which of course is just like intensely embarrassing as an adult, because you're like, this really shouldn't be happening to me. But yeah, it did not come out at any point during the day, and as I was leaving work, it started hurting. And something that I had learned from all of the articles that I had been reading at work is I realized that this can actually cause like really severe damage to your eardrum, and the longer you leave it in there, like the worse things are. So I'm like, okay, it's been in there quite a while now. Also, coupled with the fact that like I'm experiencing pain, I should probably go seek some professional assistance. So I went to urgent care and of course waited. And the doctor came in, like took a look at my ear, really didn't say anything. He just like looked in there, and there was just like this long moment of pause. And I'm like, you got a word on what's happening in there, Chief? Like, can you see it? And he was like, yeah, I can see it, but it's right in front of your eardrum, and I do not feel comfortable trying to get it out of your ear. I only have one pair of forceps. They're mad thick, and I feel like if I put it in your ear, it's gonna hurt you. So I'm like, all right, I appreciate that, but like, what do I do? She's like, girl, you need to go see an ENT, or you need to go to the ER. So at this point, I'm like starting to be a little bit alarmed, because something that I thought would be no big deal and that like the doctor at urgent care would be able to help me with clearly was turning into a big deal. So the fact that he had said you could go to either ER or the ENT led me to believe that like it would be okay if I went the next day, because at this point it was like late at night, and like obviously an ENT is not open. So the fact that he gave me the option of going to an ENT was like, oh, you could probably like wait until tomorrow. So slept again, was just hoping that like miraculously it would fall out while I was sleeping. That did not happen. Woke up in the morning and I was like, all right, it is emergency room time. So I went to the ER, and honestly I was still in good spirits, because I was like, you know what, the only reason the doctor couldn't get it out last night is he just didn't have a big enough pair of forceps. If I go to the emergency room, I'm sure they're gonna like have the tools, and they're gonna be able to get it right out. Y'all, I have never been so wrong in my entire life. So I go, sitting there. This doctor comes in with like this real aggressive, like alpha male energy that I was like not here for. He's like, hi, like, why are you here? What can I do for you? And I was like, oh, I have something stuck in my ear. So he starts asking me about what it is. I tell him like, hey, it's a little earring. It's like this big. It fell out of right here into my ear. It's been in there like a day now. Need you to help me, fam. So he goes, and he has like a little assistant with him, which just made this experience so much more uncomfortable. He goes and gets a pair of forceps, which, to be honest, looked like the exact same size that the guy at urgent care had the night before, who he was like extremely hesitant to use them on me because he was like, I will hurt you. This man used that size of forceps So he's like, I'm gonna just need you to just like tilt your head. And yo, this man goes in on my ear canal. Like, he was not trying to be gentle, like, in any way. Like, he immediately caused me so much pain. Like, the second that he put the forceps in my ear, I heard like almost like a release sound, and my ear started ringing. And I'm like, did this guy just pierce my eardrum? Like, I was so freaked out. So he like keeps trying, and every time he's like trying to grab this little earring, it feels like he's puncturing my eardrum. Like, it is like the most like intense pain, and obviously they're like, don't move. So the only thing you want to do is like yank your head away from this person, but you can't. You have to just like sit there and just like endure it. So he tries for like a minute. He pulls the forceps out. They already have blood on them, so like he has already like severely injured my ear canal. And when I open my eyes, like, tears are coming down my face. Like, it's one of those things when you have, like, pain, like, anywhere, like, on your general face, head region, like, you can't, like, not tear up. At least I can't. So I'm already crying at this point. Like, we're about, like, 2 minutes into this, and I'm already crying. Like, this is not good. So he kind of like looks at me a little bit weird, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna go see if I can find something else. So he brings back a couple other pairs of forceps, which again, don't look like they're that much smaller. Like, this is not like an ear canal sized forceps. But he brings them back, and again, just keeps trying to like get this thing out of my ear. Like, I literally at this point, I can't stop crying. Like, it's not just like a cute like tear or two. Like, it's like I'm like weeping like in the emergency room. And at this point, I didn't even have a room. I'm just like in the hallway on a bed, and like people are walking by, people across the hall are like just staring at me. Like, things are looking very bleak at this point. So there comes a point where him and his assistant just like usher me into a room, and they're like, oh, we're actually gonna take you in here and just like take care of it in there. Which initially I thought I was just like getting upgraded, but I think that they were like, you're not really like helping our brand image right now by like weeping in the hallway. So I'm gonna just like put you somewhere where no one can see you. So enter female doctor. Female doctor is apparently acquainted with the feelings of compassion and empathy, and like does know what to do with a crying person. So she's trying to be comforting. She's like, I'm so sorry that this is happening to you. Like, let me see what I have. So she brings in an appropriately sized, ear canal sized pair of forceps. Thank goodness. So the only thing to note about these forceps is while they are smaller, they're essentially just like two little daggers, you know, with like a little hinge in the middle. They're even sharper than the original pair. So this girl is going in on my eardrum. So thankfully with less force, but just more stabbiness overall. So this girl is going in on my eardrum, and it's not working. She's like trying and trying and trying. And again, every time they try, it just feels like they're just puncturing new holes in my eardrum. And it gets to the point where like she's like, it's very important that you don't move while I'm doing this. But you know, when you're in so much pain that you're like shaking, it got to the point where I knew that like at any moment I wasn't gonna be able to handle it anymore, and I was gonna like yank away from her. And I'm obviously like not trying to lose my hearing today. So it got to the point where I told her, I was like, I can't anymore. I'm like, can I just have a second just to breathe? Like, I'm gonna move. I know I'm gonna move. So at this point, she apparently decides that like it's time to have mercy on the crying girl whose ear we've been stabbing for like an hour. Y'all, at this point, she utters some very life-changing words to me. She says, you know what? I actually have a suction tool. Let me see if I can go grab that, and we'll see if that will work. And at that point, I'm like, girl, where was this suction tool for the past hour? Like, you may have wanted to share this information prior to this moment. It seems pretty important. So my homegirl leaves the room, gets her little suction-y thing, just like this real tiny little straw thing, hooks it up to her little dentistry sucker machine. Y'all, guess how long it took to get this earring out of my ear once she started using this tool? Just take a guess. About 5 seconds. You mean to tell me that all of my pain and suffering could have been avoided if the proper tools had been used initially? wouldn't that have been great? You know, I wouldn't have been like in hysterics among strangers for like an extended period of time. Wouldn't feel as though like my brain is bleeding. It just could have prevented a lot of suffering. So this girl gets it out, and when she pulls this like main circle part out, she's like, oh, it looks like the earring actually fell apart inside of your ear. And what that means is like this was like a little ball, but there was like gems on the outside. And y'all, guess what gems not attached to a little ball are? Essentially just like little razor blades. So she's like, all right, we got to figure out a way to get these out. So she's like, okay, we now have to irrigate your ear, which I've never had my ear irrigated before, but like I don't think that's supposed to be painful. But y'all, after your eardrum has been like bludgeoned to death, there's really there's no way to top off that experience other than just having like a fire hydrant of water like directed at your eardrum. Just unrelenting pressure. So they do that a couple times just for good measure, just because they're like, let's finish her off, you know? Let's make sure she never comes back to this ER ever again. Yeah, so they irrigated my ear, got all the little chunks out, and somehow I walked out of that ER alive. So I'm happy to report now that it's a few days later that my ear no longer hurts. I believe that it has healed well, and that I do still have my hearing. So that's good. That's a real highlight here. So the moral of the story is, I don't even know what the moral of the story is. Maybe don't have like a conch piercing if you're gonna have one. Don't put something from Claire's in it, because it will fall apart inside your ear and you will have like $200 worth of medical bills. Thank you for listening to the story. I hope that it entertained you, and if you have any medical horror stories, please leave them in the comments below, because I would love to commiserate with you.